Just behind me is the Billionaire Road, where the wealthiest, one can say, of London or the world live, or who wants to come and live here. And with me here is Rupert Hollanday, who deals with people like these. He's a property entrepreneur, and I want to talk to him about why, if at all, London or the UK is losing its shine for the rich of the world, specifically Indians. So thank you very, very much for your time, Rupert. Could I ask you, first of all, what is it that pulls people to London?
Well, London's obviously got a huge historic significance. It's been one of the leading global cities for hundreds of years. And so there are lots of things that attract people here. Our culture, obviously the history, but also the businesses, finance, the media, entertainment, education obviously is a big pull for people. And of course the ability, or certainly used to be, the ability to generate wealth.
Yes.
For sure.
And it's rainy days.
Rainy
For these times, like we are in now.
days.
It's raining and it's pouring, as you say. Do you think it's been very rainy and pouring for people? They're pouring out of this country, can you say?
Well, it's a good metaphor for sure. Certainly, we're facing real headwinds. The wealthy of the UK have been subject to repeated attacks, really, on their wealth by successive governments, not just the Labour government particularly, where they have attempted to extract an increasing amount of money from them in order to fill the coffers of the exchequer. And as a result of that, there are, in your words, a significant number of wealthy individuals who are leaving the country, and leaving the country on scale, which is something that we've actually not really seen before, certainly in my time. So,
is your business also facing rainy days as a result? And what has been the impact of it in terms of numbers, as much as you can say?
So, in the world that I occupy, which is currently real estate transactions, selling and renting houses for people or buying on their behalf, one of the great difficulties that we always face is number of transactions. The values actually have less of an impact. It's when people stop trading that we really we really start to suffer. And I would say that what we've got at the moment is this very unusual situation where people do want to sell, but they don't want to sell at any cost. And believe it or not, there are some nations that are looking to buy, but who equally won't buy at any cost. And so the number of inquiries and the number of transactions that we're seeing and that we're even able to pull together are right down from what we would have seen probably early stage of post-pandemic. And as a result, that has an impact on our business. Fortunately, we're in a good position to be able to weather these storms, but as with any business, one can't really weather an economic storm forever. One has to look, hopefully, towards a future where these things settle down, and hopefully they will. But certainly for the moment, we've really noticed a slowdown in activity, both on the selling side in terms of the people doing transactions, but also just on inquiry numbers. They're down.
Okay. Is there any particular nationality that is moving out more, or is it a mix? And what would you say for the Indian origin people? We know Lakshmi, because of the world, are moving, but any others that you have come to mind?
So certainly we've seen, I would say, London is quite a multicultural city, and we've attracted historically the wealthy from all across the world. And I would say in that vein, the exodus has been somewhat multinational in its same vein. I would say that perhaps looking at where they're going is quite an interesting avenue. particularly leaving either going back to or going to the US for the first time, but also heading to the Middle East, where obviously tax regimes are significantly more favourable than they have been in the UK and actually across the wider West. So I would say that when it comes to the Indian community, I think that the appeal of the Middle East is probably as appealing as anywhere else, particularly if you're minded towards not only wealth preservation but also wealth creation. There are a great many opportunities there for that.
Okay. So do you see any recovery happening anytime soon?
As an entrepreneur and a property entrepreneur, I have to keep upbeat and optimistic. So of course, my default position is I'm sure that sunnier days are just around the corner. However, I think that it's hard to see, without some serious change in fiscal and monetary policy, and particularly tax changes over the coming months and years, I think we're going to have to weather this storm for some time. There are, of course, rumours of changes and that the government is planning on making some overtures to the world's wealthy with investor visas and things like that, which we would love to see the detail of. But until we see the detail of it, it's very difficult to be able to tell.
Brilliant, thank you. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So here, Rupert Collingwood telling us that, who's a property entrepreneur, that yes, people are moving out of the UK, specifically in London. One hopes that this trend will be reverted and people would do otherwise, but it all depends on how and which way the politics of the country turns. From London.